I truly underestimated the association's best defense. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a pack of hunters, and they're locking in on their prey, which is the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Through 2 games, this team has upped the physicality. They have frustrated the Denver Nuggets, and they've restricted them to just 89.5 points a game, both games being in Denver. Minnesota is strong, they're physical, they're talking trash, and they're just a team of cold-blooded killers, and that is the perfect mentality for a team that is nicknamed the Timberwolves. That is a wolf, hunter, killer mentality right there, and it's led by Anthony Edwards. He set the tone in Game 1. 25 first-half points en route to a franchise postseason record of 43, and he was knocking down triples, he was getting out on the break, and his jumper has greatly improved since entering the league. We thought that he was a great slasher to the rim, a high-flying guard, but the question was, can he take his game to the next level, be a guy who can set the tone on the perimeter as well? And he's done so. I mean, he's knocked down 7 threes in that closeout game against the Phoenix Suns and has been off to a great start in this postseason and this series against the Denver Nuggets. The Timberwolves have a 3-headed monster in terms of big men. It starts off with Karl-Anthony Towns, who was phenomenal in the second half of Game 1, also Game 2. Naz Reid, who put on 16 points in Game 1, with 14 of those coming in the fourth quarter. And then you have Rudy Gobert, who is likely to be the defensive player of the year for guards to have the float game. When guards get into the paint, they're either stuck to take a pull-up jump shot, use a kick-out pass, maybe a lob pass, or shoot a floater over the top. Well, Rudy Gobert is so long and he has the ability to recover that once the guard or anyone, even Jokic, leaves their feet, it's going to be very tough to make a decision on the fly because he has the recovery speed to deter what is the Nuggets, one of their most patented plays, the Jokic to Gordon lob pass, that we've seen so many times. And that has neutralized the breaks, that has neutralized so many options that you can do. This increased physicality, Jamal Murray is hobbled, KCP is hobbled, and I think now we're seeing that the Denver Nuggets are having some roster flaws being exposed to the national audience. We've seen in the offseason that they let Bruce Brown walk, and maybe they didn't have the money to afford his salary. That's fine, but I would find a way to bring him back, or at least for next season they need to bolster this bench because they're giving them next to nothing. And with KCP rolling his ankle, he's not having the total defensive prowess that we're used to. He's not quick either. Jamal Murray's dealing with the calf. It is really just on Jokic at this point, and this is going back to like the 2022 Nuggets, who was just Jokic, Gordon, and Porter Jr., and that was the entire team. I thought when it was reported that Rudy Gobert would end up missing Game 2 due to the birth of his child, that this would open the door for the Denver Nuggets, that they would have a chance to make this a series because they would be more desperate. They're also down. They can take advantage of 2 big men versus 3, and Nikola Jokic would have a little bit more space to operate with. But I was wrong. I mean, this was another defensive virtuoso. There was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was guarding Jamal Murray very well in Game 2, even laughing at his face because he knows that a hobble Jamal Murray isn't doing shit against him. The length, the physicality that Nickeil Alexander-Walker can bring, Jaden McDaniels can bring, and at times Anthony Edwards can bring, is going to bother Jamal Murray. Restricted Jamal Murray to just 3 out of 18 shooting in Game 2, and was mostly quiet in Game 1 as well, especially that first half where he was held scoreless. He was flustered, he was just totally off kilter, and we haven't seen Jamal Murray where he just starts lashing out at the refs. I thought for sure if it was known that he threw something onto the court, that's first an ejection, and I think the league needs to go into either imposing a hefty fine or even looking at a suspension, because that could have hurt somebody on the court. They got very lucky in that circumstance. So that trio right there, plus an injured KCP, is really being a mismatch and putting the Timberwolves heavily in favor of winning this series. The 3-headed monster of Rudy Gobert, Cat, and Naz Reid, those 3 guys have been wearing down Nikola Jokic. We see now that he has to guard those 3 guys in certain points in the game, and then defensively, they can just throw those guys, and probably 2 out of those 3 are going to be on the court at the same time. We've seen that again and again. And the fact is that Nikola is going to be worn down, and that could lead to the Nuggets' doom. I got to give credit to Chris Finch. I mean, he's been excellent in this postseason so far. He's undefeated so far in this postseason run, and he's also doing this on a torn patellar tendon. He tore it in a collision with Michael Conley in the Phoenix series, and I thought it's going to be a little bit of a tricky situation because he's going to be shouting from the bench, but he's got his lead assistant out there on the court as well, standing on the sideline to help him out. But I mean, this Timberwolves staff has been excellent with nurturing this young team, and they're on the brink of what could be something very exciting in Minneapolis right now. I think the Timberwolves have something really, really special, and the question is now, can they actually sweep the Denver Nuggets out of the playoffs?